Hello, my name is Colin Walpert. Thank you for listening to this podcast or watching the video on TV or on the internet. Doing the very best that you can at all times and making the best decisions that you can at all times is what you do. You may not think so in retrospect, and you may lambaste yourself from time to time. But the truth is, you are always doing the very best that you can at the time with the information that you have at the time. An important yardstick that I use is, how will I feel tomorrow morning when I wake up? How will I live with the consequences of the decision I'm making now tomorrow morning when I wake up? And this is something that comes after years of gray hair and years of growing a little bit older. That the wisdom arrives in your life where you're able to step back before you make a decision and say, well, just before I make this decision, how will I feel tomorrow morning? If you're watching a football game and you may be having a little too many drinks, you know how you're going to feel tomorrow morning if you do that. And making the decision at the time, knowing how you may feel the next day, is very good as a yardstick to help guide you make the decisions that you make. However, most of the pain associated with lambasting yourself about the decisions that you have made in the past is about being hard on yourself about making that decision and not making the correct decision. If you realize that giving yourself permission to be okay with having made the choices that you made yesterday and living with the consequences today, whatever they are, and they may not be pleasant, if you give yourself permission to live with those consequences and not have to post-mortem the decisions you made yesterday, you will find a whole lot more space to be able to deal with the consequences of the decision in the first place. Remind yourself that you are doing the very best that you can with the circumstances, within the circumstances, and with the information that you have. Because if that were not true, you would have made a different decision. Mostly being hard on yourself about making any decision is the painful part and unnecessary. The decisions you make are made with the best intention, with the information you have at the time, and you are always doing the very best that you could for yourself at the time. You may argue and say, but I know that if I do this, it's not good for me, and tomorrow morning I'm not going to feel great. But I still made the decision, so I really wasn't doing the very best that I could at the time. In fact, you were. If you could have made a better decision, you would have. So give yourself permission to be okay with the decisions you made, and maybe next time make a different decision. But the decisions that are made, that are past, that are finished, live with the consequences without being hard on yourself for making the decision in the first place. The consequences are often enough. The consequences are often enough to motivate you to do a different thing. If you're choosing a share on the stock market, for example, I talk to the financial people, you do your research, you find the fundamentals, you say this is a good buy, and you buy the share. A day or two later, you say, maybe that wasn't such a good idea, I should have bought that one or that one or that one. And this is with new information that you had. The truth is, if you had that new information 3 days ago or previously, you would have possibly made a different decision. So why be hard on yourself about the decisions that you've made in the past, just because they were decisions that you may not agree with now? Make a different decision going forward. Remind yourself that your parents were always doing the very best that they could at the time, because if they weren't, they would have made a different decision. Remind yourself that your partner, your friends, the people in your life that you integrate with and interact with are always making the best decisions that they can for themselves at the time. That may not be a good decision for you, the implications for you, and it may not actually be a good thing for them. But they are making the best decision they can at the time. And often people need to reevaluate the decisions they're making. But the truth is they're making the best decision they can at the time with the information they have and their psyche and all the factors around that. Ask yourself a simple question when you're not sure about something. How will I feel tomorrow morning when I wake up, having to live with the consequences of the decision I am making today? And you may know that as you get older, you realize the responses and the outcomes of the decisions that you're making today and how to influence them based on the wisdom and the experience that you already have in your life. Be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to the people around you. I wish you love and light.